Some more breaking news in NBA free agency for the Philadelphia 76ers. The team has announced they are bringing back Eric Gordon, the veteran guard, on a one-year veteran minimum contract. Going to break down the signing, which I'll be honest, I don't love the idea of Eric Gordon returning to this team in 2025. But before we do, guys, this is why you subscribe. As I've mentioned before, anytime there's a signing in free agency, no matter how large, no matter how small, we make a video breaking it all down right here on the channel. So hit that sub button. We are only 22 subs away from 23,000 here on the channel. So hit that sub button. Let's reach that milestone on this video. I'd really appreciate it. The best Sixers coverage you will find right here on YouTube. So let's break it down, man. Eric Gordon back to the squad on a one-year veteran minimum contract. Sixers now have 13 players under roster. Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, VJ Edgecombe, Eric Gordon now, Ricky Council, Janai Broom, Kelly Oubre, Paul George, Andre Drummond, Joel Embiid, Adem Bona, Trendon Watford, and Justin Edwards to the roster. Really rounding into form now. I imagine Quentin Grimes will be signed at some point here soon in the coming days, and then they'll have one more roster spot they can fill, either leaving it open or bringing someone else in on a vet min deal. But Eric Gordon, man, look, when they brought him in last season, you're thinking, okay, guy Daryl Morey is familiar with, a veteran guy. He can shoot the three, won't provide really much else for you at this stage in his career. And, you know, to start off his tenure with Philadelphia, it was a little bit rough. Now his numbers for the year, 6.8 points on 42% shooting from the field, did end up shooting 40.9% from three, and had a pretty good stretch in January once the calendar turned to 2025, where he averaged 9.8 points per game on 52.6 three-point shooting, but then he went down with an injury, missed the rest of the season. So, look, maybe Philadelphia is hopeful that he can capture what he did in that stretch where he was really hitting a lot of his threes, looking pretty dynamic, not, you know, explosive or anything for a guy who's going to turn 37 on Christmas this season, but at the very least doing what you paid him and brought him in to do, which was to hit the long ball, hit his open threes, because to start the year, he was getting a lot of open looks and a lot of good shots from three, and they just simply were not falling down. Now, look, when you think about where the team is at with their guard situation in particular, I mentioned you have Maxey, you have McCain, you obviously drafted VJ Edgecombe, and you plan to bring back Quentin Grimes at some point here soon. He's a restricted free agent, has yet to come to terms with the Sixers. A lot of other teams in free agency have already spent a lot of money, so I don't know, and I don't see another team out there that's going to give Quentin Grimes the kind of contract he wants, which was reported to be over $25 million. I think maybe he'll come more in the $15 to $18 million range. But for Eric Gordon, man, where is he getting minutes on this squad unless you really don't think McCain's going to be ready to start the year, which, look, he's not playing in Summer League. There was some speculation that McCain might have been ready to get out there for the Summer League roster, but he was seen in practice with the Summer League squad, not going through full practice or anything, but he was taking some shots. He was moving around a little bit, wearing that big leg sleeve on his leg, of course, recovering from that knee injury. But, you know, are they worried maybe that McCain isn't going to be ready for the start of the year? That would be a little bit disappointing. Seems like he is on track, or maybe they don't feel comfortable with VJ Edgecombe getting a lot of minutes to start the season. We know Nick Nurse can have a track record of not playing a lot of his young guys early on. Now, last year, different story, because there was a lot of injuries and a lot of young guys had a chance to prove themselves. But, you know, you bring in Eric Gordon, and yes, you know, a veteran guy, not going to cost you much, just a veteran minimum, who you hope can shoot somewhere near 40% from three and bring that to the roster. But, look, there's a lot of other ways I would have honestly gone with a vet min deal. You know, we've been live on the channel the past couple of days talking through a lot of the options Philadelphia has to fill out the roster with some of these vet min contracts. And there's been a lot of chatter over the last 24 hours that the Sixers have been trying to trade Andre Drummond after he opted in to his $5 million player option. So I'm thinking maybe Philadelphia can go out and acquire another big to fill that void of maybe moving on from Drummond. And look, if they trade Andre Drummond, they can still do that. But I would have liked to see them go after a player, maybe try to get a Mo Wagner in here, if that's possible. It seems like he could go back to Orlando to stay with his brother Franz over there, but coming off an ACL injury, maybe he could have taken a one-year vet min prove-it deal to play in this roster. But even some wings, you know, guys like a Trey Lyles could be that good stretch four for you, who I would have liked over Eric Gordon here. You could have gone after somebody like an Amir Coffey from the Clippers. We've been talking about Bol on the channel, right? It just surprised me because Daryl Morey said entering this offseason what he really wanted to do was get younger and get more explosive. He says last offseason he knows he made a mistake by bringing in so many veterans because the roster really broke down throughout the season. He thought, we'll get these vets, we'll be accomplished and ready to go for the playoffs, but he realized because I got all these vets, they couldn't get us to where we wanted to go because they were all getting injured, they were all older. So he's thinking, all right, we'll get a lot of these younger guys. They can now carry us to the playoffs. But look, with Andre Drummond returning as of right now, you have Eric Gordon returning to the squad. They did sign Trendon Watford, a younger player who should be able to help fill the void of Gershon Yabusele signing with the New York Knicks. By the way, a lot of fans are upset about him signing there. Look, the Sixers just did not have the money to bring back Gershon Yabusele. It sucks. He went to the New York Knicks, of course, but it's just the reality of free agency. So you bring in Eric Gordon here, and where does he really fit on this roster? I hope he's not getting minutes over McCain or over Edgecombe to start the season, because I think he spent the third overall pick on VJ Edgecombe. I'd like to see what he can do with his defense, with his athleticism. The summer league coach for the Sixers said the first thing that stands out when you watch VJ practice against some of these other, NBA guys who are in their first, second, and third years in the summer league is that athleticism really, really pops. And it's a special trait that he has. So I would hate to start the season and see Eric Gordon getting minutes over VJ Edgecombe. It kind of just seems like a signing that they made to fill out this guard rotation, but I think they're going to bring Kyle Lowry back. At least that's kind of been the buzz. He really wants to come back for another year with Philadelphia. And it seems like with VJ Edgecombe not getting to wear number 7, that number is kind of being saved for a Lowry return. So if you bring back Lowry as well, then all of a sudden you got 6 guards, counting Quentin Grimes, in this rotation. How is that all going to play out, right? So I think I just would have liked to see some more wings on this roster. You have Paul George, you have Kelly Oubre. Outside of that, you obviously gave Justin Edwards a new contract. You have Ricky Council in there as well, who hasn't showed me as much as I would have hoped so far. I think you really do need another wing because, Janai Broome is more of a 4/5. Trendon Watford is more of a 4/5. You have Embiid, you have Adembona, you have Andre Drummond. So I would really like to see one more wing on this roster. It's been a problem for the Sixers for a long time, is finding that wing, someone that can, be on the perimeter, guard opposing wings, because it's really a wing league now if you look at the landscape of the NBA. I get Eric Gordon is Daryl Morey's guy. He's been around him, going back to his time in Houston. Obviously signed him last offseason, but I just don't think he's going to provide much value for this team, especially another year older, coming off a year where he was injured. Who's to say he just won't get injured again? Daryl Morey said he's learning his lesson, but signing like this to me just tells me he's kind of staying comfortable with the guys that he knows instead of trying to go out and sign a younger player, because there's a lot of guys still out there in free agency that might not be as established or as experienced as Eric Gordon, but certainly could provide a little bit more. Now, I get the Sixers are cash-strapped right now. They can really only sign guys to the veteran minimum deal, but, man, there's got to be someone else out there that you could assign to the vet min that could do something similar to what Eric Gordon does while being a little bit younger, being a little bit more athletic, and not coming off a season where it was derailed by injury. So Eric Gordon will be back. You do like the shooting he provides for this team. That is something I talked about. Thought about signing Luke Kennard. He ends up getting $11 million from the Atlanta Hawks. So you like the shooting he brings, because Edgecombe, we'll see how that shot looks right away. Kelly Oubre is an inconsistent shooter. You obviously have Maxey, McCain, hopefully Grimes, who are all good shooters, but I guess just one more body in there. So Eric Gordon returning to the squad. He did decline his player option, so I thought maybe he wouldn't be returning, but then he returns on a minimum, which is going to be a little bit more than his player option that he declined because he's been in the league for so long. The longer, more experience you have in the NBA, the more years you've played, the higher that vet min number is. I think it should come in around $3.6 million, if I'm not mistaken. But, of course, when we get those official numbers, we will update you. So, another signing here, late night, day 2 of NBA free agency. Now we're really just waiting on Quentin Grimes to round out this roster. Any other moves the Sixers do make, we will have you covered right here on 76ers Now with a video up to the minute when they make a signing. So hit that sub button. Be sure to turn on your notifications so whenever they make a move, you are notified. Hope you all have a great night, and we'll see you next time here on 76ers Now.